Jumping timelines is one of the best, most exciting, expansive things that you can do in life, but also one of, I guess, the most like misunderstood things that you can do in life, because there are so many positive projections onto jumping timelines, like the excitement of it and what new opportunities it could bring, or what doors it could open, or where you'll go, or who you'll meet. But a thing that people often forget with jumping timelines is there's no way that you can enter into a different timeline and embrace all of the amazing things that come with this new timeline if you don't leave behind so much of what you held previously in your old timeline. And the thing is it makes so much sense, because in order to allow, you know, good things to come in and new things to come in and new experiences and opportunities to come in, it's obviously inevitable that you have to make space in order for that to happen. And if you didn't make space, then you would just have all of these things piling in, but you would have no kind of capacity in your own life, in your own mental capacity or your nervous system, to really be able to experience it and to embrace it. Like, it would just be incredibly overwhelming. So in order to make the most of this new timeline, and also to kind of like prove that you're ready for a new timeline, comes with this massive purge of your life beforehand. And it's actually, I believe, one of the most uncomfortable things that you can go through, because everything that's associated with our previous timeline is things that we're comfortable with, and normally things that we've been, you know, familiar with for a really, really long time. Because even though obviously it is possible that once you jump timelines once and you've become accustomed to it and you enjoy it and you keep wanting to elevate in life, you can then go on to more and more and more. But say, for example, the first time you jump timelines, I believe that it's normally as a result of getting to a place in life when your eyes are more open to everything else that's available to you in life. And you've almost in itself, in your own self, changed already. But that normally generally comes after something that shifted in your life to make you see life that way. Before that, I feel like so many people kind of lived with their eyes closed and just going day to day in the familiar and just everything that they've known up till that point. So I feel like the first time that you become really ready to change your life and jump timelines and to go into, you know, a different reality than you've ever seen before, is the time where it's kind of most scary, because that is the time when you're leaving behind so much of what you've just had known up until that point. And so much of that naturally is outdated to you. You wouldn't have got to a place in life where you were ready to move into the next kind of level as such if you hadn't really outgrown what you were living in before. And that can look like so many different things. It can look like outgrowing the people that you knew beforehand. It can look like outgrowing the place that you were in beforehand, like your location, your surroundings. Your job's a common one for you to feel like you've outgrown. Sometimes even family dynamics, family relationships, what your interests are, what your hobbies are. And I think that actually it's really important to note that even if you don't know that a timeline jump is approaching, or you don't even know that that's what you want out of life, kind of moving into a phase where you notice that you are feeling like you're naturally outgrowing that, or that they don't align with you anymore, I think is quite a common sign of, even if your external world doesn't know it yet, your internal world, your nervous system does know that you're approaching a change. It knows that you've done enough work on the inside, or you've experienced enough where naturally you are now just moving into a different kind of point in your life. But I think that it's in that point where so many people can kind of trip, because when things fall away, it's kind of one of the most disconcerting things that you can go through. It takes so much out of your nervous system to accept things falling away in life. Our brains only know the past, and they only know, you know, the current as such. We don't know anything about the future kind of as it stands. I mean, obviously there is the argument that everything that we're doing now kind of is the future, and that's a different subject. But in terms of how our conscious brain works, we know the past and we know the current literal moment that we're in right now. And so because of that, all our brain can really relate to is the past. That's what it's going to constantly want to revert to just to keep us safe. And so when you're going through that process of purging anything, it's so scary and so nerve-wracking because we don't yet have the evidence that it's going to be worth it. And I can say hand on heart that I truly believe that letting go of things that you know that you've outgrown or you know doesn't serve you for your highest good and for this next timeline that you're wanting to jump into, the best thing that you can do is to let go of those things, no matter how scary it is. Because by doing so, you're freeing up space, but also it's really teaching you the tools, but also proving to yourself, to the universe, to whatever you believe in, it's proving that you're ready for the next level. Because if we kept going through life operating under the same kind of reactions or behaviors and comfort zones, we would never be giving out the signal that we're ready for more or capable of more. And without doing that, we can't attract these amazing opportunities into our lives because we're essentially saying we're not ready for them. We don't have the tools within us or the confidence in order to be able to take on all of these new things. Because with a new timeline and with a new reality comes more responsibility, potentially more exposure, more opportunities, or maybe more visibility, or new places, new people that require more of you, because it will demand more of you. You're moving into a next level, therefore it's almost like a video game. Like every single level gets harder and you need to have different tools or different skills or different strengths in order to be able to take on that new level. Otherwise you just keep going back and you keep going back, or you just restart and restart. And obviously it's not necessarily a bad thing if you stay on a level for a while just to kind of like get your bearings right and just like settle into things again. But regardless, whenever you move on in life, it is just going to require more of you. But this shouldn't be something that scares you, even though naturally it does. It should be something that you try to tell yourself, there's no need to be worried because you are ready for this. You just have to do things to prove to yourself that you're ready for it. And the more things that you can do like that over time, so, making brave decisions or letting go of things that don't align, or having difficult conversations, or just making the decision to move away from things that you do feel like you've outgrown, is like little stepping stones to show to yourself what you're capable of doing. And the best things that we can do for ourselves is making those kind of hard decisions or those brave decisions, because over time they kind of build up and you realize just what you're capable of, and you realize what can then come in a result of doing it. And then once you see the results of it, then you're even more confident the next time to make an even braver decision. But it's so true that we won't attract more in until we've got the space in order to be able to do it. So leaving things behind is the number one thing, but it is the most kind of difficult thing. But the thing is once you're there and once we're in this new timeline, like it's just so expansive, and you just realize that there is so much more to life and it's so exciting and you get so much out of it. And I think that kind of once you do it and once you're trying, you wonder, why didn't I make these decisions sooner? But then it's true what they say is everyone's where they are supposed to be in life. And you make the decisions that you feel ready to do in the moment. And a lot of it comes down to this divine time about when it is the right time to do it. I personally believe that we're where we should be, but we have different pathways in front of us. We have different pathways in front of us on different kind of timelines. And our actions kind of are the basis of which which timeline we go on, and none of them are wrong as such, but we go on the one that we are ready for or that we are brave enough to take. But it just is that thing about you have to show that you're ready to do it. And it's not just about leaving things behind that's the difficult thing about going into a new reality, but it can also be as well, it can bring up so much within yourself. It can bring up so much fear and so much doubt and so much insecurity and anxiety from yourself internally, which is what comes with going into new territory and experiencing new things. It's that devil inside of you that wants to pull you back. And that goes back to that whole thing about our brain is just keeping us familiar with what we know. And that little devil is the thing that will bring us back to where we were before over and over again, until we have the strength in order to be able to say, this is just fear talking. And if I can get past this voice in my head, and I can move forward, and I'll experience so much greatness. But it's not even just voices from within yourself, it's also voices from, around you. So people who may not understand or may not approve of the new opportunities, experiences you want to take on, or people who may be envious of it because all that comes down to is that they wish that they could do the same, but they're just not confident enough to do it, which is the number one sign that you're doing something right. If people around you are envious, or they've got anything to say in a tone or a judgment that is anything but just genuinely concerned but like caring for you, because there are people around you, depending on what you're going to be taking on next, that may just have this genuine care and concern that they want it to be the right thing for you. But if it's anything outside of that, if it's any envy or judgment or just jealousy, it's coming from a place because these people are just wishing that they could do the same. And it's probably one of the key things that show you that you're doing the right thing and that you're doing the bravest thing when people do judge you for it, because it's showing all of these other people around you that you're the brave one who's taking on that risk. Because all of these people, they wish that they could take chances as well, but some people just can't do it. They can't let themselves do it. So they will obviously judge the people who can, to try and bring that person down or try and make you feel like you're the crazy one for taking a chance in life. And it's not that whatsoever. So that's a sign that you're actually doing something right. But obviously, naturally, that doesn't come without hard times as well, because you don't want to attract that energy into your life from other people, and the chances are, if you are looking at reality from the way, and if that you want to progress and you want to improve and you want to move into a different timeline and reality, you're at a point where you don't want to attract that energy. You would also not give that energy out to other people. So it can be hard to kind of understand why people are sending that energy your way. But it is just out of, it's exposing to them what they are not brave enough to do. So it isn't a bad thing actually, but it just feels like it in the moment. And it can be another thing that trips people up and makes people stay small, because they don't want that kind of energy. But again, it is kind of one of those things that proves you're on the right path. I think that the more that you do in life, the braver that you are, the more visible you are, or the stronger you are. It's just part of life where you're then going to attract more opinions, more voices, again, both externally and internally. But it's not a reason to stop, because growth in life is just so important. And you see so much more of life. You can achieve things that you just never thought possible. Like the kind of life that you can experience when you go into a different timeline, and you go into this new phase of life, and you can really embrace it. Like life is just so amazing, and it opens up all of these doorways, and you then naturally just you find your people then, because you are then you really do attract what you are feeling internally. So you attract more of the right people into your life, and even then they can make you feel so much better about yourself, and they can show you life in a different way, or you can just feel so much more supported, and you attract better opportunities that are more aligned to you in that moment. Because I really do believe that everything that you see in your external life is a reflection of you on the inside. So naturally, like when you're going into higher places in life, you're going to attract more of those positive experiences, or those experiences that, yes, they may demand more of you because you're at a higher level, but you also get so much back out of them as well. And looking at kind of like the materialistic side of things as well, like going into new levels like that as well opens up doorways to, you know, like higher income. And that's something that I think that some people don't really like to admit that they want or are chasing in life, because I think that if people were to admit how much money means to them and how much they want money, they would then be having to face decisions where they have to do things out of their comfort zone, because money really comes to you when you're out of your comfort zone and you're doing things out of your comfort zone. That is what brings in more money. So a lot of people will claim that they don't care about money, and if you really don't in life because your priorities are on other things, that's totally fine. But for the people who do, you have to be brave, because they are what opens up the next kind of income brackets in life. But then when you start seeing that reward and you start living in a more abundant way and in a more abundant lifestyle with people around you who are supportive and open-minded and positive just in general, and then you start kind of seeing different opportunities from work come up, that really give you a sense of purpose or identity, rather than just like going about your day-to-day 9 to 5 and something that doesn't really mean anything to you, and then you become, you know, in a bit of a slump in life and everything. Like you'll start aligning with things that do feel more purposeful, which is obviously amazing. And you also build up so much more in your character as well in these things. You feel more confident, you feel more abundant, you feel more just like alive. You see things so differently, you see things more brightly. Everything just seems more possible. You just feel like you can achieve more. And it's so important, like it's so exciting. But it just goes back to, you have to be prepared that in order to be able to get there, you have to leave things behind that will just hold you back, because you can't take baggage, you know, where it's not supposed to go. It just drags you down. You want to arrive in your next reality light and fresh and ready for more, and with space for more, and, you know, like just happy. You don't want to have to be thinking about things to do with the past that just may not feel good anymore and just feel draining. But jumping timelines is just one of the best things that you can do. Like it really is. I think it's one of those things that really shows you what's possible in life. And once you start doing it and you become more comfortable with leaving things behind, or maybe having to be the bad person in somebody's story just to know that, you know, you're not the bad person, but you just had to go somewhere where maybe that person couldn't come to, or you just knew it wasn't serving you anymore, and you feel more comfortable and brave to make decisions like leaving jobs, and it becomes kind of part of your nature. Like you get this sense, this fire burning, that where you are right now isn't where you're supposed to be, and it's time to jump. Once you get comfortable with that, there's no stopping you. You continue doing that then for the rest of your life, because you become so aware of that feeling, that gut feeling that you get the minute that you know you've outgrown your current reality. And once you know that feeling, and you know how it feels to have escaped it once and moved into somewhere new that you're happy with, and it comes back again because you're ready for the next level, you almost find it impossible to just stay stuck in that feeling of knowing that there's more but not doing anything about it. Like it becomes impossible. So then you make the decisions again, and you trust that what's coming next is going to be better. Even if it's scary, you know that it's going to be better, because you now have the evidence to know that you've done it before, and that you know, even if you didn't know the roadmap ahead, you knew that it became visible to you once you made the scary jumps, and once you'd released it, and once you've got space, and once your head's set on what's coming next rather than what's behind you. But it's just like, it's so important to do. But I think it's just that importance of like, don't just project positive emotions and expectations onto timeline jumping, because otherwise you're going to be so overwhelmed with the anxiety of it when it happens. But just stay open to it and stay brave to the possibilities, and don't worry if you get voices inside of your head or from other people saying that you shouldn't do it, or that you're making the wrong decision, or there's any kind of judgment, because like I said before, that's actually exposing that you're doing the right thing, because that devil in your brain wouldn't be coming for you if you were staying in your comfort zone, and the devil knew that there wasn't anything to drag you back to. So just see that that is a good thing, and be comfortable in that, and just trust that you will end up where you're supposed to be. Even if it's super scary, you will end up where you're supposed to be. And even if you can't see it yet, just trust that everything is working out in your favor. And if you make decisions that feel really hard right now or in the moment, everything is working out in your favor and for your highest good. It doesn't matter how things look right now, but things really are working out for your highest good. And when you get to your next place, and a place where you feel like you belong again, or in this new kind of timeline and reality that you're looking at, which is what you once dreamed of, you'll be able to look back and realize in hindsight how it was all playing out. But you just have to be brave in the